It started after the accident. The doctors said she was lucky to survive. But what they didn't know was that something came back with her. She woke up in a hospital bed, and suddenly, she could hear everything, not the beeping machines, not the nurses, not even her own breath, but thoughts. People's inner voices. Every fear. Every lie. Every secret. Her name was Mara Jennings. A 29-year-old music teacher from Oregon. Car crash on Route 6, head trauma. Brief coma, doctors called her recovery miraculous. But on the second day, as a nurse checked her for Mara heard a voice, not spoken. Thought, I hate this job. If she codes again, I'll let her go. Mara flinched, but the nurse never said a word. The voices kept coming. From the janitor sweeping the floor. From patients down the hall, like radios stuck between stations, broadcasting every human fear, desire, and guilt. Mara couldn't block them out. Couldn't tell where she ended. And the world began, but then came the other voice. It was different. Not chaotic like the others, singular. Focused. Cold. It didn't belong to anyone in the hospital. It simply said, run. Again. And again. Always in the same tone, run. 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 And every time she ignored it, she saw shadows that weren't there, people walking backward in mirrors, smiles that held too many teeth. Mara begged to be discharged. But the doctors said her paranoia was a side effect of trauma. So she tried to escape, but the hospital had changed, hallways stretched too long. Doors led to nowhere. One room had no windows, just hundreds of ticking clocks, and that voice. Louder now, it knows you can hear. It's coming. Run. On her third attempt, Mara reached the exit. The doors opened, and she ran into the daylight, barefoot and bleeding. She thought she was free, but the voice followed, not just in her head, but in others. A woman at the bus stop looked at her with wide, frozen eyes. And Mara heard her think. She brought it out with her. That was 6 months ago. Mara vanished. No bank activity. No phone signal. Nothing. But since then, strange reports have emerged. People hearing voices after surviving near-death experiences. One man in Arizona ran into the desert claiming it learned how to move between mines. And in every case, they all said the same thing before they disappeared. It's not a gift. It's a signal. And it's looking for a way in. So if you ever hear a thought that doesn't feel like yours, if the world starts to slip, if a voice in your head ever whispers, run, maybe you should listen, before it finds you too. Want more strange tales and terrifying truths? Subscribe to Echo Tales, and keep your thoughts to yourself.